Alright, this is John Cola with GrowingYourGreens.com. Through of another exciting episode for you, and we're doing Growing Your Greens in a Minute. So this is one of my short format videos. I don't know if it's going to actually be a minute, but today's episode is the top 5 tips for growing food in a container garden. Like I have here, I'm sitting here in my driveway, and you can't really plant stuff on in the concrete on the driveway. So at the end of the driveway, I actually just put some half wine barrels or whiskey barrels and filled them up with some good soil, and I'm growing food in there. And it really is that easy. I mean, it doesn't take rocket science, but with my 5 tips, you're going to be assured success, whether you've been growing or whether you're going to start to grow in containers. Alright, so let's get into the tips. Tip number 1, get the biggest size container you can. I like these half wine barrels or half whiskey barrels because actually they're quite wide, so I could plant a number of things in there. Also, you want to ensure that it's the proper depth. I like minimum like 12 inches of depth. You know, that's what I really like. More than that's great. I mean, I don't really need all the depth in here, but minimum 12 to 15, maybe 24. That's perfect. And then, yeah, you want the biggest circumference as possible to grow food in containers. And we'll get into that in just a little bit. Tip number 2 is to get an appropriate soil mixture for your container. If you just go to your backyard and start digging up the clay, the sand, whatever you got in your backyard and put it in the container and then start to grow in that, you may not have the best luck. Likewise, many bagged organic compost from the store may not be that good. They may not work. You may fill up your container, you're excited to have a container, and you plant stuff in there and stuff doesn't grow. And you know, there's many reasons for that, but one of the main reasons is because you don't have a good soil mixture. So I recommend, number 1, a good potting soil mixture. And if you're looking for probably one of the best brands out there, you want to check out the Dr. Earth brand of potting soils. They're pretty high quality stuff, and they're nationally distributed. So check, I think, with maybe a local True Value Hardware, I believe, has those, or can special order them. If your local nursery does not, you'll not find those at any kind of big box store. Now, besides using the potting soil, make sure you have nutrition in the potting soil for the plants. Dr. Earth adds some nutrients in there, but some additional things that I would like to add for the plants include things like the rock dust, things like the worm castings. Those are like really critical in my opinion, and most potting soil mixes, unfortunately, leave those out. If you want to learn more about the rock dust and the worm castings, please check my other videos. Actually, I'll put links down below to 2 videos, one on rock dust and one on worm castings, and why they are so important. And the third thing that I would actually do is not actually add some kind of synthetic chemical fertilizer like pretty much everybody's taught. I'd actually use what's called compost tea. And the compost tea, you brew it on up, and then basically that invigorates your soil with nutrition, with some nutrients, but mostly the biology. And what people don't tell you is that people just think, oh, you need fertilizer to feed your plants. The plants don't necessarily need fertilizer. Fertilizer to the plants, like synthetic fertilizers, chemical fertilizers, made in a factory, however we want to call them, is kind of like us living on vitamin supplements. We don't want to live on vitamin supplements. We want to live on real food, and hopefully that's one of the reasons why you want to grow your own food, to get some real food instead of living off of vitamins or vitamin-enriched faux foods like cereals that they actually add vitamins to, because when they processed the cereals, white flour, white sugar, all the vitamins and and minerals are drastically reduced, so they actually have to add stuff back in, right? And that's what fertilizer is for your plants. So we want to set up an environment where we have a good organic compost, and the biology and the rock dust or the trace minerals, even something like the sea minerals in the soil, so that they can be accessed by the plant through the biology. And that's pretty much how we work. When we eat food, actually the food is digested not by us. We don't have like teeth in our stomachs to chew everything up, but we have symbiotic beneficial bacteria and fungi in our stomachs. And that's the system that we want to set up in a container. Alright? Tip number 3 is plant densely. So I have these actually planted very lightly. I have 4 plants in here, but I could easily fit maybe 6 to 8 of these guys. This is some Siberian Kale, so it's my favorite winter variety of kale. Really mild if you don't like strong tasting kale. So yeah, Plant them densely so you have more food in your space. Now, if I was planting tomatoes in here, because tomatoes kind of grow out really big, I'd probably maybe tend to plant like maybe 2, 1 on each side. Peppers, I might put maybe 4 or 5, and space things out accordingly. I always want to encourage you guys, especially in containers, grow the most valuable food to you. And to me, those are the leafy greens. Leafy greens are quite expensive to buy, but you know, they're easy to grow and they taste so much better when they're fresh picked at home. Okay, tip number 4 is water appropriately. So I've set up an irrigation system that basically just attaches to the hose bib. It comes on a timer, so I don't have to worry about watering, so it always gets watered. One of the biggest failures I see in container gardening is that you're either over watering because like, oh, I love my plants, I'm gonna give it water, and we think we equate like loving our plants with giving it water, giving it something, when really we need to give it the appropriate amount of water. And so I have this going off at present time like once a day. If it's raining, it might actually stop going off because I have a sensor that detects that. And you want to just have the soil nice and moist. You don't want it sopping wet, and you don't want it too dry either. And that's another big challenge that I see when people are container gardening. So last tip, tip number 5, is learn as you grow, right? If this is your first time or whether you've been growing in containers a lot, there's always something new to learn when you're gardening, right? And so every time you plant a plant and it makes it or it doesn't make it, figure out why it didn't make it or figure out why it worked. And hey, when I added that compost tea, things shot up and it grew better. Well, maybe that's good for your plants. Maybe that's a better way to love your plants than giving it excess water, right? Spray with some compost tea. Now, yeah, I don't agree with, you know, spraying on too much compost tea, but I like to do it upon initial planting, and then maybe like once a week to just reinvigorate. But yeah, learn as you grow. That's super important. If you fail, try again. The worst thing that's gonna happen if you plant a garden and you mess up, the plants don't make it. You buy new seeds, you buy new plant starts, you try again, but more importantly, you do it a little bit differently. And this is like how we learn. This is how we learn how to walk. This is how we learn how to ride a bike. You know, sometimes you fail, you fall over on the bike or when you're trying to walk as a baby, but you get back up and you do it. And everybody on the world could walk, right? And everybody in the whole world could absolutely garden too, but you need to learn the skill of how to do it. And you're only gonna learn by your successes and by your failures. And I want you to learn from both of them. Both your failures, but more importantly, also your successes. When things grow well, you're gonna know, wow, the Siberian Kale does amazing in my containers, but when I grew tomatoes, like it really didn't yield a lot of food, so I'm not really gonna do that again. So I'm gonna grow more kales and other leafy greens, like when I grow mache in the containers, it does amazing. And I only know all the stuff I know about gardening through trial and error and through, you know, reading things and reading books and researching and whatnot. But mainly I'm self-taught. I learned what I know from doing it. And that's the main thing. Get out there and do it. So plant that container garden, and now you too can be successful with these 5 tips. If you guys enjoyed this short format video, hey, please give me a thumbs up to let me know. Also be sure to click that subscribe button right down below to be notified of my new and upcoming episodes. And be sure to check my past episodes. I have over 1,100 episodes now teaching you guys all aspects so that you guys could grow your own food at home and be independent of the food system, which is a method of control. So once again, my name is John Kohler with GrowingYourGreens.com. We'll see you next time. And until then, remember, keep on growing. All right, this is John Kohler with GrowingYourGreens.com. Today, another exciting episode for you. Today, I'm coming from my front yard garden, and today what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and answer your guys' questions. So I'm going to apologize in advance. I get all